For most of my life, people said I was lucky. Lucky to be smart. Lucky to be independent. Lucky to be so strong. They said it like strength was a gift. I didn't realize until much later that it was something that had been assigned to me. I was the older daughter, the dependable one. The one who never cried too loudly, never asked for too much, never needed rescuing. My parents liked to tell people I was low maintenance, like I'd come out of the womb already knowing how to take care of myself. My sister Clara was different. She was fragile, emotional, artistic, special. At least that's what they said. When she failed a class, it was because the system didn't understand her creativity. When I succeeded, it was because, well, of course you did. When Clara needed help, the family rallied. When I struggled, I was praised for handling it so well. I learned early that love in our house wasn't equal. It was earned, so I earned it. By my late 20s, I was deep into my medical residency, working 80-hour weeks, living on vending machine coffee and 4 hours of sleep. I was exhausted, but I didn't complain. I had been trained not to. That was also when my parents' money problems started. Dad took early retirement at 56, said his back, couldn't handle it anymore. Mom had never worked. They framed it as temporary, just until things stabilized. I hate asking you, my mother said the first time she called. She always said that. Then she asked anyway. It started small, a few hundred here, a utility bill there, then it became the mortgage. Just for a little while, Dad promised, until we get back on our feet. I didn't hesitate. Why would I? This was my family. This was what good daughters did. I set up automatic transfers, quietly, efficiently. I didn't tell anyone, not because they asked me not to, but because no one ever asked me anything. The payments became part of my life the way gravity is. Constant, unquestioned. Then I got pregnant. Twins. The father disappeared before I even finished the sentence. My parents were shocked, concerned, embarrassed. We'll support you emotionally, my mother said carefully. Financially, of course, was never mentioned. I didn't expect it. I worked through the pregnancy until my feet swelled and my vision blurred. I studied between contractions. I gave birth alone. And when the twins came early, tiny, fragilely wired to machines, I called my parents from the hospital, voice shaking, asking if they could come for a few hours. "Oh, sweetheart," my mom said, "your father's back is acting up, and Clara's having a rough week." I hung up before she could finish. I told myself it was fine. I always told myself that. The twins survived. I survived. I went back to work too soon. I paid for daycare that cost more than my rent. I paid the mortgage on my parents' house every month without fail. I told myself it wouldn't be forever. 8 years passed. 8 years of payments. 8 years of silence. 8 years of being called so capable, while quietly drowning. The accident happened on a rainy Tuesday. I don't remember the impact. I remember waking up in an ambulance, pain exploding through my abdomen, a paramedic shouting numbers I didn't understand. I remember thinking of my children. I called my parents. I told them I was bleeding internally, that the babysitter had to leave, that I needed help for just a few hours. My mother texted back instead of calling. "You've always been dramatic. We have dinner plans with Clara. Figure it out." I stared at the screen as the world tilted sideways. I didn't cry. I went into surgery. I survived. But something in me didn't, because when you realize you could have died, and the people you've sacrificed everything for couldn't even be inconvenienced, something breaks cleanly, like a bone snapping, instead of cracking. It's quieter than you expect, and irreversible. Recovery gave me too much time to think, time to replay conversations, time to notice patterns I'd spent decades excusing, time to finally ask myself a question I'd avoided my entire life. What, exactly, have I been giving, and to whom? I started pulling bank statements. At first it was just curiosity, a vague sense that I needed to understand my own life. But as the months and years stacked up on my dining table, curiosity hardened into something colder. The numbers were relentless. Mortgage payments, insurance premiums, car repairs, emergency loans that were never repaid, transfers labeled family help. 8 years. I did the math 3 times because I didn't believe it. Just over $400,000. I sat on the floor surrounded by paper and laughed until I scared my kids. Not because it was funny, because it was obscene, and because I finally understood something crucial. They hadn't taken advantage of me by accident. They had counted on my silence. The invitation came a month later. My grandfather's 70th birthday. A big one. Formal. The whole family. I almost declined, Then my grandfather called me himself. Come, he said simply. Bring the kids. There was something in his voice, steady knowing, that made me say yes. I didn't plan revenge. I planned truth. I organized everything. Chronologically, cleanly, no emotion, just facts. When my Aunt Irene saw the folder, she went very still. They called you irresponsible, she said quietly, flipping pages. They called you unstable, she continued, voice hardening. And they let you pay for their lives. I don't want to destroy the family, I told her. She looked at me like I was naive. You're not destroying anything, she said. You're ending the lie. By the time the party arrived, I'd already heard whispers, Clara telling relatives I'd changed after the accident. My parents suggesting I was struggling mentally, planting the story before I arrived. I walked into that house, holding my children's hands, calm as a surgeon before an incision. They saw me immediately. My mother's smile froze. My father looked away. Clara kissed my cheek like we were still sisters. You look well, she said. Considering I almost died? I asked gently. Her smile slipped. They started first. Concern, pity, performative sadness. I said nothing, because I had learned something important about liars. They talk themselves into corners if you let them. When my grandfather stood up, the room quieted the way courtrooms do when a verdict is coming. My father tried to intercept him. My grandfather didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. He asked one question. Who's been paying your mortgage? The silence was so sharp it hurt, and when the folder opened, the lie collapsed under its own weight. The room didn't explode. It didn't need to. The truth has a different effect. It drains the air out slowly until no one can breathe comfortably anymore. My grandfather read numbers the way he used to read verdicts. Calm, precise, unarguable. Each figure landed like a stone. People shifted. Murmurs spread. Someone gasped. My mother cried. Not the delicate tears she used for sympathy, but the ugly ones that come when the performance is over. My father tried to speak. He failed. Then came the text message. The one I hadn't planned to share, but my grandfather had found anyway. He read it verbatim. The room turned. I didn't smile. I didn't cry. I watched relatives step back from my parents physically, instinctively, as if betrayal were contagious. Watched Clara's confidence evaporate in real time. When my grandfather asked if I wanted to say anything, I surprised myself by stepping forward. I didn't come here to punish anyone, I said. I came because I was invited. I told them about being the reliable one, the convenient one, the one who could always handle it. I told them what it feels like to almost die and realize you're loved only for what you provide. I'm done paying, I said simply, not angrily, not dramatically, just fact. My mother reached for me. I stepped back. That night, my parents left early. No one stopped them. The fallout was quiet, but permanent. Invitations stopped. Excuses ended. The family narrative rewrote itself without me lifting a finger. My parents sold the house. They struggled. Clara lost opportunities. Reputation is fragile when people stop covering for you. And me. I slept better. I redirected the money into my children's future. College funds, stability, freedom. Months later, Clara called. She apologized without asking for anything. That mattered. I didn't forgive immediately. Forgiveness, I learned, isn't a gift you owe. It's something you offer when you're ready. A year later, I stood in my small apartment, watching my children laugh. It wasn't grand. It was mine. I had chosen myself. And if choosing yourself cost you the approval of people who only loved you when you were useful, then maybe that approval was never love at all. Stories like this aren't just entertainment. They're reminders. Subscribe for more real human stories about boundaries, healing, and quiet strength. Share this with someone who needs to know they're allowed to choose themselves. I'll see you in the next one.